all you glorious souls who are joining us for our final episode of the first season of Justice League Revisited. I am James Enstall, host of Geek to Me Radio, right across on the other side of the Zoom screen from sunny California, the voice of Wonder Woman and my co-host Susan Eisenberg. How's it going?
Hello. It's going really well. And are we really at our last episode of the first season?
I know.
Just seems crazy to me. And I'm just so pleased that we have a lot more to come. But I just have enjoyed this so much.
As have I. It's been great, and the people we've gotten to talk to have been amazing. Some people
Amazing.
who I was already, I don't want to say air quotes friends because I know them, and some people like today's guest who this is my first chance to talk with him. But it's just been, the guests we've had on have been amazing. The information we've gotten and that we've been able to give to the fans of this show has been amazing. It's just been overall an amazing run.
You just said amazing 3 times in a row.
That's
and
how amazing it is.
And and do you want to tell the people who's on today?
Today,
You want to do it? Yeah.
we have Phil Morris, who you will know from, if you're a DC Comics fan, you already know this guy. I mean, talk about all the different roles he's done between Justice League Doom, between Legion of Superheroes, live action Martian Manhunter before David Harewood was even doing it in Smallville. And of course, Silas Stone, the father of Cyborg, and now in this particular episode, making his debut in the DCAU as Vandal Savage.
I'm so excited to have this conversation with him because I know Phil. We've done a bunch of these shows together. Okay, so I don't know if you could hear this, but Ollie just came in and we taught him how to knock with his paw, like he paws a door. So he's
I didn't hear it.
Oh, okay, good, because he's pawing relentlessly at the door. But okay, Ollie, hold on, Mama's recording. He knows record. He knows auditions. He knows recording. So yeah, Phil is just this lovely guy there's such a warmth to him. And every time I see him, whether it's at a con or we saw each other at Kevin's memorial, obviously, there's just this lovely connection. And so, but I haven't ever had a really in-depth conversation with him. And what a career he's had. What lineage he has, his father, this wonderful actor in his own right and was in Mission Impossible. So there's just so much to talk about. And I can't wait for this conversation.
No, and it's a very exciting episode to have him on, too, because this is the final 3 episodes. We're covering The Savage Time, which was the season 1 finale of Justice League, airing all 3 parts on November the 9th, nearly a year to the day that you guys debuted, November 17th of 2001. This aired on November 9th of 2002. Episodes 24, 25, and 26 in the breakdown, the 12th story of the first season. This was directed by Butch Lukic for parts 1 and 3. Part 2 was directed by Dan Reba. Wow, I can't talk. Written by...
You've been busy. You've had a long weekend.
It's been...
So, yes, you're exhausted. I don't even know. We haven't even talked about it, but I know you're exhausted because I know what your schedule was.
Yeah, this weekend was rough. So for those of you listening, you'll have to forgive me. Writer Stan Berkowitz. The voice cast in this one, to be not outdone because it is the season finale, we bring in Patrick Duffy making Steve Trevor's debut in the DC Animated Universe. Fred Dreyer, who I knew as Sergeant Rick Hunter, as Sergeant Rock. We've got Ted Levine as Bulldozer, who obviously, if you're a fan of Monk, you know him as Captain Stottlemyre from the TV series Monk. Robert Picardo, another Star Trek connection. We'll have to ask Phil about his Star Trek connection later, but Robert Picardo, the holographic doctor from Voyager, as the commander of the Blackhawks, and the one that blew me away, Dave Thomas playing Ernst. So the guy can make hamburgers and he can appear in animated series.
Incredible. He did such a great job. And I just love this cast. It's tremendous. It's an epic 3-parter. Epic. I mean, there's just so much to talk about. And I don't quite think an hour is going to be enough time, but we can always have it to be continued conversation. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, because it's a 3-part. It's huge.
Yeah.
There's
So
just a lot.
we may
There's
go a little
lot.
over the normal hour, which we've done in the past with certain guests. So our guests are I should say our listeners are very forgiving. They don't mind if we go a little long because it's all the cool information that we're bringing them. So why would they get upset?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
And for those of you who caught my joke, I was kidding. Obviously, this isn't the same Dave Thomas from Wendy's. This is the guy from Bob and Doug McKenzie from, the TV skits, and he did some films and everything like that too. So I was kidding for those of you who may have caught the joke and be like, wait, what? So yeah, but not that Dave Thomas. But just an incredible cast, and to have obviously Phil Morris as Vandal Savage, one of the ultimate bad guys in the entire DC universe, up there like little levels above almost Lex Luthor when you think about it, and just this is going to be
scary, fun
to get into.
He scares me. He's a very scary dude, this character, and I run into him a lot. In the series, and then we did Justice League Doom together, Phil and I. So yeah, he's this guy's brutal, but in a very kind of quiet. It's not like this over the top kind of scary way. It's even scarier because it's not over the top. So yeah, he did an amazing job with this. I'm going to use the word amazing. I'm going to steal it from you. He did an amazing job in this episode. Amazing. So yeah.
I'm going to have to find a new word now. My goodness, because I was going to introduce him as the amazing Phil Morris when we have him on, but now you've stolen the word. I can't do it.
No, we'll share it. You can use it again.
All right, I might use it again.
Okay.
We'll see, because I've got to introduce him. I've got to think of some adjectives to introduce him as we go into it here. Joining us now, he needs no introduction, but we're going to give him one regardless. He is the father of Cyborg. He was a former Martian Manhunter and future ruler of the Earth. We have Phil Morris on the show with us right now. Phil, thanks for your time today.
It is an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Oh, are you kidding? This is our pleasure. Thank you for being here. And when we were talking about who we wanted to book, when we were going through all the episodes, like you were right there at the top of the list. And really for this episode, this 3-parter of Savage Time, how do you not have you?
Well, it was the first 3-parter you guys had, right? I mean, it's the only one you had, wasn't it? Or did you have another 3-parter?
The very first episode was a 3-parter, Secret Origins, to launch the thing. But I think this was the only other one. It was perfect, a bookend to the series, a 3-parter to begin and a 3-parter to end. And it was high massive. Stakes. I loved it.
Massive.
And also, before this interview, just so you know, James put it out that you were going to be on, social media, that you were going to be visiting us today, and there were a few questions from the fans.
Let's get to them.
Right, James?
Yeah.
It was like immediate. As soon as you mentioned that he was going to be on, that Phil was going to be here with us, boom. There was a lot of curiosity from people about Vandal.
Yeah, I mean, we had a bunch of questions. Let's go ahead and start it, because usually we kind of dig into it ourselves. Let's start out with a couple questions to kind of sprinkle them in throughout the interview, if that's okay with the both of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
We've got our first question comes from at SiennaPup1024 on Twitter. What advice do you have for young people interested in film and TV industry? And evidently this particular user... follower, however you want to say, met you at the Black Awards in 2012 in Hollywood?
The Black Awards.
That's what they said. Maybe unless they...
Maybe they're getting the title wrong, but sure. I'm sure. I've been to a few awards events in my life. The thing that I always recommend for people who are getting into the art of acting is to find the best class you can. Go to the one that actually scares the crap out of you. The one that you are watching actors work and you're like, I can't do that. That's so nuanced and so deep and so layered. And that's the place you need to be. You need to find some people. And I always say audit, because every class is different. And it might not one class that you go to that everybody's like, oh man, this coach is so amazing and I love them. And you go there and you're like, huh? I don't get it. Right. So there is somebody out there for everybody. There is a muse, a mentor, somebody who can help you navigate these waters just for you. And it's very important to find that person, because you can spend a lot of time with people who are giving you misinformation, like a bad golf coach who keeps you coming back because you never fix your slice. But they're always there to just it a bit, not enough that you fix it. So you got to come back.
Right.
So you have to find a place that really inspires you to do the best work that you can. Read books, actual books, real words. Read them, and read novels, and read biographies, and read historical tomes. And the more places you can refer to life is that's the best quiver that you have. Those are the best weapons that you have. It's not living the life of an actor, because rarely will you play an actor in your career. You'll play human beings. Point.
Yeah.
So go live your life. Go climb mountains, love people, race cars, boats, whatever it is that you're into, play sports, just be interested in life, full stop. And then bring all of that to your work.
Climb mountains, read books. That sounds like a lot of work, Phil. Is there a shortcut people can take? No, I'm kidding.
No.
I tease. And
quiver. I love hearing somebody use the word quiver. That's a good one.
As a noun.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Just saying.
I reread
it's the references, man. I'm telling you.
I love it.
I went back to reread the question, and it was the 2012's Blacks in Hollywood event at Vegas. I said Blacks Award in Hollywood. It's Blacks in Hollywood event in Vegas, if that helps you ring a bell.
Yes. I came and spoke about a couple of episodes of my father, Greg Morris, who was in the original Mission Impossible series from 66 to 73, had done, and were seminal episodes that they wanted to highlight. And so I came in and spoke about his performances in those episodes. It was fantastic.
I just feel giddy that just knowing who your dad is. It just, it was so much fun researching. I mean, I know you. We worked together on the show. We've seen each other at different events and things like that throughout the years. And I've always had enormous affection for you. I don't know why. And then I read your bio, and it was just, I just loved reading about your family. I'd love to know more about your mom, because your dad was so well known. As you said, he was an actor. He was in the original Mission Impossible series. He was a Desilu employee.
Yeah.
I
Before Paramount bought Desilu, owned by Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. Desilu. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, man. And just so you grew up in the business and probably learned so much from your dad about the do's and the don'ts of navigating the business.
Yeah, I did. And thank you for mentioning my mother. My mother was an angel. Both of them are passed, so they're looking down on us and sprinkling love and blessings. But my mother was a lyricist and an artist in her own right. She was the daughter of a minister, and so she was incredibly grounded and taught us a lot about life, just real life. And came.
What was her name? What was
Leona?
Her name?
Leona. And she was from West Virginia, from a coal mining town in West Virginia. My father was from Cleveland, Ohio. So very, very simple, organic beginnings. And they always taught us to be grateful and to walk with grace. And when my father did well, we saw him kind of arrive. So it wasn't as though I was born and he was this celebrity guy. He was not that guy. He was working at pool hall and a liquor store. And so we saw the steps that he had to take, which were very difficult at that time, certainly in the early 60s. Mm-hmm. And so without him, no me, not just biologically, but as an artist. And my father was one of those people who kicked the doors in and was beautiful and charismatic and smart and was all the things that the industry wanted to represent African Americans. And so he filled the bill, checked a lot of boxes. And so he and my mother helped us with two sides of the coin, the entertainment side and the family home side, which was more important than the entertainment side. And so that's how we were raised. It was really a beautiful balance.
Wow. And because, was your dad politically active? Was your dad?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. No, I remember him having, my parents having political fundraisers at our house for people like Mayor Tom Bradley, who was running against a man named Sam Yorty way back in the day. And I love dogs, so bring that dog in.
Sorry.
I love him. We love him.
No, we love Grimmy.
Grimmy.
We love,
He's usually
Grimmy.
quiet when I keep him here in the recording room, but I guess something must have happened outside because he just went off.
No, it's great.
So sorry.
He had a question for Phil Morris as well. Hey, Grimmy.
Do you want to
How
tell
are you,
him?
brother?
Do you want to tell him why Star Trek 3 is your favorite Star Trek movie? Now
Search
he's-
for Spock, huh?
That's right. Oh, now he's shy. He's on camera. Okay.
Yeah.
Be quiet.
We all get that way. But yeah, my parents were very politically active and Democrats. And, I mean, my mother was the executive secretary of a man named A. Philip Randolph. A. Philip Randolph was the first person to unionize black workers. And he unionized the sleeping car porters that were all the black men that would be on the train
Sure.
that would take care of the patrons. So he unionized them. And that was the first union that African Americans had. And my grandmother was his executive secretary. My father's father was second horn for Duke Ellington. So my legacy is deep
I
and
saw
abiding.
about your I saw about your grandfather,
Yeah.
and it just gave me chills because what an incredible, to grow up in that environment
Fabulous.
surrounded by artists. And like you said, where family is so important and valued, and politics are cared about
Mhm.
and, fought for. And what a beautiful legacy for you. And I'm sure you've given it to your children as well.
Oh, yeah. We're passing it on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. It's beautiful. Did you know that about his family?
I knew his
Oh, yeah.
dad. Yeah, I knew his dad, but the Duke Ellington thing, wow, I love jazz music and just, oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Phil, were you always going to be an artist of some kind? Like, did you feel that at a very young age, like chances are I'm going to act or do something with music, something? Did you feel it?
No. I'm second child, only boy, incredibly rebellious. So you have to understand, my father got cast in Mission Impossible in 1966. I was 7. So from the age of 7 to now,
Mm-hmm.
that's been my legacy. So as a young man, whenever anybody would come over to me and say, "Hey, little Greg," I'd be like, "No, it's Phil."
Mm,
I mean, I love my father, but I wanted to be me.
of course.
So forever I was figuring out what that was. And so athletics, art. I was an automotive designer for a minute. I wanted to go to Art Center, which I did, to design cars. I'm a huge car buff. And just one summer, my father took me. It was the summer of in between my senior year in high school and college. I was young, was 17. And I went on location with him on a movie called Contact 303, which you will never find. I firmly believe it was only there for me to start my road as an actor.
Really?
I think the movie was never going to be made, but the universe was like, Phil needs a kick in the butt. So we're going to give him an experience that's going to show him that this is where he needs to be. So my father was one of the stars. Billy D. Williams was one of the stars. Henry Fonda was one of the stars. Chad Everett, Merle Haggard, Buck Henry. I mean, these were amazing actors that I was hanging out with for 6 weeks in the Mojave Desert shooting an army movie, which for a young boy is like, how much better can it get than that? I came back to LA after that and then went to an acting class and whoop, that's how the road started.
Wow.
See, we love hearing people's origin stories. Like when we have guests on the podcast, we always love knowing how did they end up being Vandal Savage?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's usually a long road and it goes through different permutations, and it's just fun to hear how people got where they got.
Well, it's kind of cool, like the superhero origin stories. I always love the superhero origin stories, and ours are actually more interesting in a way.
For sure. Well, yours is way more interesting. Yeah. So James, do we have another question we want to ask?
Sure. We have at Ken Crowley asked, when playing Vandal Savage, what other baddies from film and TV did you take inspiration from? Or was it strictly a what's on the page and what you already knew as a comic book fan?
Pretty much the latter, and in conversation with Bruce Timm and Andrea Romano, we chose, and I just recently watched it, and I was thinking to myself, Phil, why didn't you emphasize that? Phil, why didn't you? We chose not to emphasize stuff.
Mm.
He was an immortal. He is an immortal.
Mm-hmm.
He's tired. He's tired. He done yelled and screamed and acted a fool, and he's just like, hey, I'm taking over the world. Come if you want. I'll destroy you. He was just a simple, no bones. This is what I'm doing today. Today's Thursday. Time to take over the world. And I think that really worked. He was like, I called him a smooth criminal. Because so I've done a lot of Star Treks, which we will probably talk about, and I've done two characters on Star Trek. One was a Klingon, very bad people, or very tough, aggressive, and one was a Jem'Hadar. They're very different. When I went to go read for the Jem'Hadar, and I'd already played a Klingon, they said, "Okay, Phil, you know the Klingon, you play the Klingon. Klingons think that they're the baddest people in the universe, right? The Jem'Hadar actually are.
Oh,
So they don't need to scowl and growl. They know who they are." And this was before I played Vandal. So I guess maybe that stuck in me. That when you are an immortal, when you are impervious, invulnerable, invincible, you don't have to snarl and growl and yell and scream. You can say simply what you want and who you are, and things happen. And so that's kind of how I played Vandal. It was counterintuitive a little bit, because normally when you play heavies, you want to get into it, and I got it. I mean, I got that kind of thing. But we chose intentionally to play him a little easier, a little more lyrical, a little more melodious. So it really was kind of scary.
it really was. And I got to say that you just brought, if, a lot of times I listen to people and I'm like, yeah, I can really hear them. I would not have known that was you. And for better or for worse, I mean, but it is because I had a lot to do with Vandal. Like our episodes coincided.
Mhm.
And God, you just were so fabulous in
Oh,
that
thank
part.
you.
It was, you
Thank you.
just nailed it. And we did Maid of Honor, which was another episode, and then Justice League Doom, which was a movie. I mean, like I say, our paths crossed quite a bit character wise, and I love hearing what you just said because that is so true. It wasn't hard hitting and, 3 octaves lower than your speaking voice. And it was just very deliberate, but not, there wasn't the effort. You
Yeah.
don't hear the effort at all.
Mm.
A- But
Thank you.
really, I mean,
Thank
didn't
you.
you, James? I loved watching these episodes.
What struck me too, Phil, about your performance, and I'm sure because you already, like I said, had a pre-existing knowledge of the character and understood the character, was, some villains get on there and they scream and they rant and they're angry. Even when you were angry, it was a very controlled anger. Like you
Yes.
knew that you owned the situation, it's almost scarier having that than some person who's yelling and raving, which was brilliant.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We peaked him up a little bit more in Doom, because we wanted him to be a little more edgy, because that storyline was so conceptually interesting,
Uh-huh.
So we had already seen the Vandal that I had done prior, so we wanted to kind of utz him a bit more, which is what Bruce said to me at the time.
Bruce said, "Utz."
He might have said, "Utz." Did he say "Utz"? Did he say "Utz"? Maybe that's just my interpretation, my filtering of his language, but that's how I took it. It was like, let's modulate it. Maybe he might have said that. It's just a little higher, a little more gritty. And so that's what we did there. But he was still in Doom. He's that guy. He's just that, he's that devil may care, laissez-faire. You don't want to meet him in an alley.
Nope.
That's that kind of guy.
For sure. For sure. And do you remember anything about you? Was this an offer for you? Did you audition?
Yeah, it was awful.
So they came to you, they offered you the part,
Mhm.
you come into the room. Do you remember anything about the
I
recording?
remember everything.
Share some of that
I
with us.
never auditioned for any of the DC stuff that I've done.
Wow.
None of it. I mean,
Wow.
I did Imperiex on Legion of Superheroes. I didn't audition for that. They just gave it to me. And I don't know how Andrea knew that I could do that, because Imperiex was very hardcore all the time, and I loved it. I loved it. When I walked into that room and I met Yuri Lowenthal and Kari there's so many people. And in the one that we did, there were so many phenomenal people in that. Who played Steve Trevor? He was
Patrick Duffy.
Duffy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Fabulous guy in the room. Just a lovely. Fred Dreyer played a character in there. It was a really interesting group. The room was always super interesting, super talented. People don't understand that voiceover actors are some of the most talented actors in the business.
Mhm.
They have some of the greatest references, possible because they've got to do it all with this, right? They can't walk in and dress like a Jem'Hadar or a Klingon.
Hmm.
You have to give that from your engine. And so I found working with the voiceover talents that I've worked with, the best that I've ever worked with on camera as well. They're just the best. And I always felt honored to go because I have 20,000 comics. For me to play Vandal Savage or Martian Manhunter or Silas Stone or any of the characters that I've played, I feel like I've been doing research on them since I was 7. So so I got them. And so when I walk in the room like that and I see Susan or I see Phil Lamar or I see Carl Lumley or I mean, you name them. I mean, it was, I think George was our Superman. Um,
Yes.
Fantastic talents,
Hmm.
also great people. So they're having fun in the room. They're a family. They bring you into the fold, and if you're bringing your A game, they want to play even more. Some of the best times I've had in voiceover were on that show.
Wow, that's so lovely. And so you mentioned your comic book collection, so I think we need to address that.
I'm like looking to see what I have close by that's just like
No, but
kind of
that's
freak you
so
guys out.
I don't know. Oh, it won't freak us out. And James will be talking to you after the show because he had, I mean, listen, that's what a lot of the fans they collect. I mean, that's a big part of being a fan is the collecting.
I can just picture the
So
two of you in the booth, you, Phil, and Phil Lamar being like, "So you got the first Neil Adams on Batman? You do? Yeah, well, so do I." I love this image I've got in my head, so don't ruin it. Whatever you do.
so who turned you on to the comic books? How did the love affair begin?
Uh, um, it's the primary colors, man, and the dynamic physical bodies. And uh, I remember being in Cleveland, Ohio. I was 6 years old, and I bought the first Journey into Mysteries with Thor and Tales of Suspense with Iron Man and Captain America, and I still have them.
Oh my gosh.
I have every comic I ever bought. I only sold a few of them one time to go visit my girlfriend, and then I bought them back. I bought them
Oh,
all back.
wow.
So I have every comic that I ever had. Um, I have incredible collection. I really do. I'm very proud of it. And they're all read. I mean, I've read them all. I didn't buy them to speculate any of them. I bought them all because I love them. And you know, it just helped me as a child. It helped me to read on a high level because comic books were written by very, very talented Stan Lee and
Hmm.
Carmine Infantino and some people who were just brilliant literary people were writing comics. They really weren't for kids. They were, but they were written at such a high level. So I learned a lot about that. I learned a lot about storyboarding because comics basically are sports storyboards. And I learned how to draw, and it just taught me a lot. And I'm a card carrying rank and file member. I'm proud of my comic bookness.
This segment brought to you by DC Comics, your home for all things DC. Please check out DC Comics. That makes me, I mean, just because I think about all the characters you played. Like we said, you played Martian Manhunter in Smallville, and you got to play Silas Stone, and just having that information, like I'm relating to you on a whole new level, Phil.
Mm. Mm.
It's pretty great. It really is. We were talking before before we started recording that you as a child were able to partake in a show. It's a little show. I don't know if if the listeners will recognize it. It's
Remember
called
this?
Star Trek. Can you please address that? Because I read
Right.
that in your bio, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
How did that happen?
Well, we kind of know how it happened
Well,
because of the
maybe.
connections, maybe.
Right. Yes, that's exactly right. So an episode called Miri was on
Yes.
the boards, which was
Yeah.
with Michael J. Pollard and Kim Darby.
Uh-huh.
Kim Darby was a well-known child actress at the time, and I think after that she went on and did True Grit, or maybe she did it before. I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the timeline. I was 6, 7. I don't know. Anyway, they wanted children to be in this episode, but they didn't want actor kids because they'd already hired a couple of actor kids, right? They wanted just kids to play kids, but they
Mhm.
needed them to understand how to handle themselves on a set. So who better than director, producer, and actors' children to then be in the cast because we knew when to shut up when they said action and we knew when to, to do our thing. So I was in it. My sister Iona was in it. Carrie and John Grise, who their father was Tom Grise, who was a director and a producer. The Shatner's kids were in it. The Landau's kids were in it. Barbara Bain and Martin Landau's daughters were in it. So we were populated. It was populated by legacy children. So that was really the connection. That's how we got in there. And there's a scene in there, and I'll tell on the producers where. So the show is basically a bunch of kids who have arrested their development because when they get to a certain age, they get a disease. And so rather than grow to that age, they've all stunted their growth. So they're all like 200 years old, but they're kids. And there's one scene we're in a schoolhouse, schoolroom, and this, why we called her a screaming Mimi, comes out and she's completely covered with these blotches and this bacteria, whatever, this disease. And she runs through the schoolhouse and screams, and we're all like freaked out. They never told us that was going to happen. Well, they didn't tell me. They might have told other people. They didn't tell me it was going to happen. I'm 7 or 8, whatever it is I am. And we're like, and action. This person comes screaming through, and I freak out. So if you ever watch that and you see us all freaking out, many of us are actually freaking out. I was one of them.
Well, it's like that story about the look on Alan Rickman's face because they didn't know he was going to be dropped at a certain time. The producer told the guy who was hanging on and just, okay, go. And that's why Alan Rickman looked so stunned is because he didn't know he was going to be dropped off the building. So that's right. That's a good secret.
Like in what was it, in Alien, where they didn't tell them that this was going to burst out of John Hurt's chest.
Right.
They didn't tell him. The great director never said, yeah, he's going to explode from his chest. So when they're watching and you see them and then they get splattered with this blood, it's a real reaction. It's a real reaction. It's a common technique.
That's amazing. Oh, I love those behind the scenes stories like that.
Right?
Look at Susan's going through now. I don't know if I want that.
No, but I just love it.
Tell
because,
me.
It's to have that connection to something like Star Trek, like Desilu. These are iconic, powerful, spaces in our industry. So it's wonderful that you have such a connection to it.
Susan, I'm so grateful. I really am. I wake up in gratitude every day. And they ask me how I'm doing. I go, I'm magical. I live a magical life. Since I was 17 years old, this is all I've ever done. So I encourage people to dream. Dream as big as you can. Live the most magical existence you can. It has absolutely worked for me. No doubt about it. Everything that I love comic books, love them. I've done more comic book themed projects that have paid for my collection many times over. I love martial arts. I love Bruce Lee. I love all that stuff. I found my Kung Fu master, who's passed away, was Bruce Lee's best friend in Hong Kong, studied from the same master. So I've just been very fortunate in asking the right things of myself, I suppose, being in my truth, and it being manifest in life. And so that's my message now for people, is to realize you're freaking magical, man. More magical than you even know. So stay in touch with that. I found when I get depressed or I'm out of it or I'm like, why is the business not? It's because I forget that I'm a fucking, I forget that
you can say whatever you want.
We can do the thing.
Yes, you can say whatever you want.
I forget that I'm a magical human being. And we all are. And when people go, really, Phil? Well, how's that possible? I say, ready for this one? You're the sperm that made it. You made it. There were millions of you.
Yeah.
There were millions of you who could have hit that egg. You're the one that made it. You gonna tell me that's not magical? Let's just start there, and then we'll go on from there. But you're the one of the millions of them that is now smiling and having a good time and doing your thing. The other ones didn't make it. You're magic.
That's got to go on a T-shirt. Again, we had some T-shirts from the wisdom of Carl Lumley, but I think we're gonna we have to start a Phil Morris collection of T-shirts now too.
You made it.
Right. We've had Carl on twice, and Carl, he's just the loveliest of men, and he'll just drop all these gems during an interview, and what's so lovely about Carl is he doesn't even recognize them as anything other than, just his truth, and he's just speaking.
So
And
beautiful.
James and I are sitting here with our mouth dropped and just saying, okay, let's write that down. Okay. So we're just,
Right. I'd like
right
to be
words to
laughing, but
live
I'm
by.
too busy writing it down
Right.
now. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Because gems, just absolute gems. Um, what was interesting? We've had some directors and writers and artists on the podcast, and one of the things that really jumped out at me during these episodes for Savage Time was, holy moly, there were so many sets and so many things that had to be created for this. There was so much going on in these episodes, and I was just blown away by that. And the
They
music,
threw the kitchen
because
sink at it.
everything. And because we've
Black
talked to the
Hawk,
musician, everything was in this episode.
Sergeant
I
Rock.
mean,
Sergeant Rock. Yeah.
Sergeant Rock. Yes. I mean,
Yes.
it's just so many things had to be created. And as good as the voice talent is, one of the reasons we wanted to do this podcast was to recognize other people who are responsible for what is on that screen.
Mhm.
And there was just so much on the screen for this. I hadn't seen it in a very long time. And I just, selfishly, I love the piece. I love the romantic piece with Patrick Duffy.
Fantastic.
Because it just gave me another element to play to the character. In addition to being a superhero, to being this, this woman who, falls hard for this guy named Steve Trevor. And I was a huge Dallas fan. So I can remember sitting in that session, just looking across the room, and there was Patrick Duffy. And I swooned. I think I swooned. And that's okay. I mean, he was used to it at that point.
But it played beautifully. It was so good, Susan. And I forgot that was such a seminal part of the proceedings. And it was handled with such nuance. And the way you two played it was completely grounded. I mean, he was charming.
Charming.
Every
And
word was just oozing with charisma and electricity. And you guys, and the way that Wonder Woman was vulnerable and available and accepted this out of left field. But that's how it would probably have to happen for a woman like her.
Right.
It's not going to come straight down the middle. It's going to come from an unknown, unforeseen source. And I found it amazing. And the size of this three-parter was massive.
Epic.
This was an epic arc. Epic.
Absolutely. James, do we have another question that we can
We
ask Mr.
do.
Morris?
We've got this one's kind of already been answered, but I want to put it out there because it's from our friends at DCAU Watchtower. How much do you know about playing the character prior to the Savage Time, which you've kind of answered, but the point was made that we, the audience, at this point, don't realize he's immortal, which I thought was a fascinating thing because they never actually, he says, I'm a god. I don't care when he's fighting with Jon Stewart on the aircraft in the final episode, but we think that might be the end of him. And so the audience, who might not be familiar, so did you kind of carry that in with you, or how did that work as far as informing this particular story? Because you come back from Maid of Honor, but as far as informing your aspects of the story as you did this.
Well, whether the audience knew or not, I knew he was immortal. So that informs me about how he should be played, right? Like I said, this is a guy who's bored. I mean, he's almost bored with life. He's bored with living for so long. How long can you live where it's still exciting and it inspires and motivates you and moves you? So I made a conscious choice to play him a little jaundiced. You know what I mean? A little detached. Not as. I mean, he's not as present as, say, like a Darth Vader. Darth is like, "Ah, da, da, da." He's like a little removed. You know what I mean? And that was it was a choice that I made based on what I knew about him. My conference with, of course, Bruce Timm and Andrea, and just what I thought was interesting. I just thought it was an interesting choice as opposed to going for the primary color kind of a thing. It's to me, it's just a more nuanced performance, and I like that. I think that's what I like to play. Unless I'm playing Jackie Giles from Seinfeld, there's no nuance there. That's just like, hey, everybody, I'm hilarious. But but Silas Stone is nuanced. The characters I played like this, I like to nuance it because they are in an expanded universe. You know, they're
Hmm.
playing superhero, larger than life stuff. So if you play that, the audience misses it. They can't relate to that. You know, you're acting and you're not being. And I've done enough acting in my life to not want to do that ever again. So I'm trying, I'm always working on authenticity and simplicity. So
And I know that that was very important for the people behind Justice League, that they didn't want it to be Super Friends. They didn't want it to be these characters, they didn't want them to be bigger than life, and presenting their
mm, mm,
superhero-ness. It they thought it would be more interesting for them to have flaws, to have these characters, to
mm.
be characters. So that fit perfectly when you were describing how you wanted to play the character and how Bruce and Andrea wanted you. It was felt like you were all on the same page completely.
Absolutely. And they were
Hmm.
just encouraged. As you know, you were in there. There was no some more supportive or encouraging room than that room. They all want to get it right, you know. And if even if you have a wonky line reading, they're
Oh,
there to kind of give you the. They're not there to beat you up. They're there to, "Ooh, okay, okay. Well, you went over here. Let's just." And when you have collaborators like that, you'll work with them all day long. You
hmm.
know, you want to hear what they know. You want to hear what they feel. Well, once again, they've been living with this material a lot longer than I have. You know, they've been at the storyboard. They're talking to DC. They're talking with amongst themselves. They're hashing this out in a way that I have not, and I have just come to the proceedings. So it behooves me to listen to them
But
and
at the same
hear
time,
what they
it's
have to
such an
say.
advantage for them to have somebody who understands the character, who knows this universe, like so many of the actors did not. And I don't even mean just the seven of us. I mean Unlimited and a lot of the guest stars, a lot of the people who worked on the show didn't know Vandal Savage, didn't know the Martian Manhunter. And, for somebody like you who would come into that room and knew exactly who Vandal was and Martian Manhunter, and Hawk Girl, I think that there's a shorthand to that, right? There
No,
has
there's
to
no
be.
doubt. There's no doubt. I last season, maybe it was a season before, I can't remember. Um, I did Legion, no, Young Justice,
Hmm.
and I played Zod and Lord Zod. So the first day I go in there, first day, I've read all the scripts and I know what's going on. I know everybody. I know all the characters. I know the Fourth World Omnibus. I know all that stuff. And so they say, okay, let's get Phil up to speed. Let's let him know about the universe. And I said, hold up, don't waste your time. I got this. I know
Yeah,
who these characters are. I know why they are. I know who wrote them, I know who inked them. Okay.
yeah,
So
that's
let's
great.
not waste time. Let's just test drive the voices, which is what I always say. Let's test drive the voices. Let's test drive it. Let's see what we want to do. You want to make it a V8? You want to make it a V10? You want it a V6? What do we got here?
That's
So
great.
that really does help, Susan. You're absolutely right. They were so thrilled. They were stunned. And I said to them, to Greg and the people, I said, look, I've told you guys before, I have 20,000 comics. I don't know if you believe me, but I have them in my library and I know what you're talking about. So let's go. And
Mm.
it does make it a lot easier. And you do cut the time in just about a third because they don't have to continue to remind you who you are.
Wow.
We
Wow.
have another question. Girl with Cello on Twitter. What do you enjoy about voice acting and what inspires or excites you? And I've got a follow-up question of my own after you answer that.
Couple things. One is my father and a man named Peter Graves, who was the white-haired gentleman in Mission Impossible, were two of the very first celebrity voices
Yes.
for automakers, right? For Chrysler and Ford and Mercedes-Benz. My dad was one of the very first voices for that. We had an amazing voiceover agent named Charles Stern in Hollywood. He was my first voiceover agent when I was a tiny tot. And so I loved what my father did. I loved his voice. I couldn't wait to have the kind of voice that he had, where he just woke up and it was like, yes. Born born of a lot of cigarettes and vodka, which I don't smoke or drink. But I mean, I drink, but I don't drink like he drank. And so I wasn't going to develop that type of voice. But when I did start to develop my own kind of patina, as it were,
Mm.
um, I couldn't wait to see how it fit in the voiceover world. And it's not easy, kids. Nope, 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 nope.
Hmm.
Just because you have a nice voice and your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your parents think you sound great at dinner doesn't mean you're going to be a talented voiceover actor. Because the big part of that is being an actor,
Hmm.
and having the wherewithal to understand the vagaries of the human condition without getting too deep in it. And so you need to start with that first. You need to have that connectivity, in my estimation, first. And then that informs you how your voice should be utilized. So first was my father and really showing me that this was a viable um, career choice.
Hmm.
Second was I've never taken one voiceover class in my life.
Oh, wow.
I've only taken acting workshops, and I always felt that I would learn from people like a Susan, Phil Lamar. I would learn. I would learn how to do my job on the job. And I did. And I was very fortunate that I had a modicum of talent. I have absolutely no fear. Um, so I come at it with a great deal of confidence, courage, which is what you need to be an actor, period. And then I love going in dressed like this. I love going in just casual
No
and I
makeup.
nope, turn my hat backwards so I don't get the
Mhm.
echo off the bill and off we go. And I can sound like more people than I can look like.
Wow,
So,
that's so important. What a great statement that is.
right?
That's so, yeah, absolutely.
So it's really intoxicating for me to be able to go. And I've been doing a lot of audiobooks lately. I did the Life of Chuck Berry recently,
Wow.
which right. So I learned so much doing voiceover. It teaches me. Maybe that's it. I love what it teaches me, what it brings to me, whether I'm working on a kid show like Hey AJ or Craig of the Creek or any cartoon. I learn from the proceedings, and I only do things that I love. If I don't love it, I don't do it. I don't do it. And I've been like that when I needed a job and I didn't need a job. If I didn't love it, I didn't do it. And I don't know why you become an artist to do stuff that you have to do. That was my big thing. I mean, you work on art because it's so freeing and available to your condition. And so voiceover was just fit right in there, man. And
Well, the fact that you say you were fearless, what a gift that is as a person and as a performer. I mean, to be able to walk into that room and say, okay, V6, V8, whatever, let's test this. Let's road test this.
mhm.
If I can stay
Yeah,
with the
please, the
with the
metaphor,
car, yeah,
please.
the car metaphor. Um, and also be willing to get it wrong,
Mhm.
to look foolish, to embarrass yourself, and to be silly, because for a lot of people, that's very difficult. And that's, I truly believe that's a gift that you can walk into those rooms and say, I'm here to try. I'm here to give it my all. Let's go.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. And you develop these things. You evolve, hopefully, as a performer. And yeah, early on, sure, I was looking over my shoulder, hoping that Video Village liked me,
Hmm.
or that I
Sure.
was getting it right,
Hmm.
or you're mimicking performances that you did before that were good, and so you're trying to, I want to capture that in a bottle, which is really not the way to create. So I've learned all those things by stumbling and falling, getting back up, and all those things. It wasn't all rainbows and unicorns. It was hard-won games. But I appreciate those games. And once again, when you're working with people like a Susan Eisenberg, or you're working with a Kevin Conroy, you're working with a
Mm.
fill in the blank, man. There's so many Rob Paulson. I mean, just so many people who are so fantastic. You get a chance to play. You
Do
have
you
great playmates.
have you ever taught?
Nah, it's not my
No,
thing.
not your
Directing and
thing.
teaching, not my thing. I'll mentor.
God, to me, I mean, James, doesn't it? It's so interesting you say that, because to me, you would be an incredible director, incredible and brilliant with actors, and you'd also be a beautiful teacher,
I
because you're a beautiful man inside and out, but the way you speak, the way you inspire, um, it's I can't believe no one snatched you up to teach
um,
students.
I'm more interested in inspiring humanity than artists.
Mm,
I think it's more necessary. I think
okay.
we need a light in the world that is beyond this quantitative money grubbing hustle that we're all
Mm-hmm.
about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like directing because it's crisis management to me.
Mm.
not something that I want to be involved with. It's answering problems and questions all day long. And telling actors what to do and how to do it, not my thing. Which is what you got to do. You have to
Hmm.
get in there, and if it's not going the way you want it, you got to get in there and tool it up. I'm more interested in speaking to people on a broader platform. I do a lot of speaking for DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, not just to people, but to the government. I was a part of a task force for the Navy that was creating a template for DEI for the government so that they could overlay how to include their people in the proceedings and the process better. And that's really what I want to do. I want to show people their magic. I want to show people how we are all from one root, um, and go forward in love and light. And that's really kind of the next chapter for me. It's not to be a performer or to act as anybody but myself. Um, Not a young guy. I've been doing this a long time. I hope to continue to do it. But what it showed me is that there's so much more in life, in my life, that I need to say to people, that we need to hear, that I need to hear. And so I'm really looking forward to that chapter.
So with this chapter, where you are now, um, a lot of acting. What takes up most of your day?
Um, I'm fortunate in that I get a lot of offers to do certain things. I've been fortunate in that I've earned some, so I'm not hustling like I used to when I was a younger guy.
Well, even more fortunate that you've saved what you
Yeah,
earned.
yeah. Very, very fortunate. And
Yeah.
and to this day, I'm still doing, like, I just finished a Capital One commercial. I think I can talk about it now because it's March. It's going to be for March Madness for the
Okay.
basketball. But it's a commercial. They offered me the commercial to play Charles Barkley's lawyer. Um, Spike Lee directed it. Sam Jackson's in it. Magic Johnson's in it, and I'm in it.
So a
And
bunch of unknowns, basically. You're working with a bunch of
yeah,
unknowns. Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
I
Got
mean,
it.
you'll hear about them soon when they enter the
On
Hall
the
of Fame.
cusp. They're on the cusp.
Up and comers.
Up
But
and comers.
yeah, speaking to what Susan was talking about before about courage, when I got that and I walked in, it was like I belong here. I'm just as much as they do. They
Hmm.
hired me. They hired me for a reason. And it wasn't me as the lawyer from Seinfeld. It was me as me. It
Mm.
was Phil Morris as his attorney, which was even better.
Yeah.
And so, I feel like, I belong where I belong. Things are coming to me fairly, I don't want to say easily, but readily. And I follow that flow. Again, I don't do anything that I do not love. And I think that that's really a change for me. I would kind of go, well, I can make this work, right? Well, I can see myself. No, if I don't see myself in it, if I don't feel the love for this character, and that's all I base it on, I'm not auditioning. I don't care who it's with. I don't care how much money it is. I don't care. It's just a matter of my soul being satisfied and not compromising it. And so that's where I am right now. And I think that the universe is responding. It's being
Mm.
incredibly resonant for me. And so I've been very fortunate.
That's answered. That was going to be my follow-up question is, have you turned down a role before based on, it might be a voice role or live acting, but you just kind of answered that. So I'll skip the question.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very personal journey, as Susan will tell you. We all have our own thing, and we all have our own barometer of what we want to do and what we will do. And I never associate mine with anybody else. This is mine, and I've had it since I started.
And was your father the same way in terms of
Yes,
his career choices?
yes, because if you notice, my dad came up in the early '60s. Did you ever see him in a blaxploitation movie? Ever? Never,
Mm-mm.
never. And he was asked to do all of them. Before all of them were, he was asked first. Before Richard Roundtree was asked, before Max Julian was asked to do the Mac, before they were all asked, he was asked to do the boyfriend in Coffee with Pam Grier.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was like, "No, man, that's not me. So I'm walking through the front door with this, and to me, that isn't it." And he didn't disparage anybody who did it. That wasn't him. And so that's how I was brought up. I was brought up in a very significant. It took me a long time to find my funny, because my dad wasn't funny. He just wasn't a funny guy,
Mm-hmm.
and he was very significant. Remember the time, not
Mm-hmm.
easy for African Americans. So there was a lot of reality that was being thrown his way, and so certainly our way. And so it took me a while to let go and to be, as Susan says, look stupid, be
Mm-hmm.
wrong, We were not about that. We were about looking right, acting correct. We were representing a whole culture, an
Yes.
entire race. And I didn't choose it, but we were there with my dad. So it took me a while to break out of that that what you should look like, what you should be, what you should sound like in order to be me. And as soon as I started doing that, then boom, I started taking off. So I'm not going to go backwards. I can't unknow that. And so I keep going forward.
Well, you are just a delight. And I thank you. From the moment I reached out to you to say, we're doing this podcast, would you be willing to come on and talk about, your episode? You were like, sure, absolutely. Thank you for asking. And it's going to be fun. And that has been your attitude in all our communication. Whenever we see each other, there's always just this, you always have this big smile like you have right now. The listeners can't see you, but trust me, he's handsome as all get out and he has a beautiful smile. And I just so appreciate your energy. And I know the fans will, if you wouldn't mind just sharing where you are for the fans to reach out to you if they want to
Sure.
talk to you, communicate with you, where would people find you?
I'm at the Phil Morris everywhere. So Instagram, Facebook, that's me at the Phil Morris. And I respond. I love talking about the work. I love talking about the genre. I love talking about cars, martial arts, comics, whatever you got. So hit me up.
And I have to ask you before we let you go, there's this beautiful painting behind you. And I would love to know, my eyesight's not as good as it used to be. So can you just share what is that painting?
That is from the final episode of Seinfeld.
Okay.
So that's a David Kennedy, who was the photographer for Time Life. He was the one who took all the set photography for the final episode. So that's from one of his shots, and it has everybody in it who was in the episode. So it has me and Julia and Jason and Michael and Jerry at the table, and then the entire gallery behind, which is just a who's who of everything and everything.
Sure.
So that's what that is. And this whole room is like that. It's got stuff in it. I've got Wheaties boxes up there and stuff around.
James. James.
Bobbleheads. And so this is just the office. But the other room, the comic book room, is stupid. It's ridiculous.
So stick around. We'll be going on a virtual tour of Phil's house very soon for those of you.
James, let's go!
Phil, thank you so much for doing this, for being a part of this, and for sharing memories with us, and just being in the inspiration that you are. We so appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor, James, to meet you. Susan, always to see you is a joy. And I'll come back and play anytime.
Thank you. Well,
an absolute delight. Yeah, I was going to say, maid of honor. We'll certainly have you back for that.
Yeah.
Thank you, and just have a wonderful day, rest of your day.
You guys too. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
There he goes. Well done.
Wow. Just when you think about all this stuff he's done, as I was going through, it's like, it's going to be so hard to keep my blinders on and stay on Justice League focus, because there's so many different directions we could have gone and talked about. And man, I had to be like a cat in a room full of laser pointers and just keep my eyes focused ahead.
Well, first of all, I never even put the blinders on because I knew I wouldn't be able to pull it off. As soon as I read, about Star Trek, I knew I was like a goner. And I'm not even a Trekkie, but, it's just such an incredible start to one's career. And then his dad, and reading about his dad, and I just, what a career he's had. I love that he had all these offers. I love that, to be able to be offered something in this business is huge. I think I've had maybe 2 or 3 in my career, and I'm proud of that. But, Justice League, it was just an offer. I love that, because I'm like sitting there sweating out my callback. There he is.
Yeah, I feel like Andrea knew what she wanted, Andrea and Bruce, because obviously the 7 of you, they auditioned for the part. We talked to Michael about auditioning and everything else, and Maria. But I feel like after they got the core established, they kind of knew, because I haven't, that I can remember, spoken to a guest star who had to audition. I know they offered it to Nathan Fillion for Vigilante. They offered it to Phil for Vandal Savage. I can't think of, unless I'm forgetting someone.
No, I think that's true. And I think because so many of those people were celebrities in their own right and already had this incredible, had their careers. I mean, when I auditioned, I had done animation, I had done animated series, but as a guest star or even recurring, but I'd never starred in a series. So they have to test you to see, does she have what it takes? And to be able to carry this, because it's a lot to carry. And so somebody like Phil, they knew he could do it. He had this career already. And so they had confidence in him. And I understand that. But what a special guy.
Yeah.
And whenever I said in the interview, I've seen him over the years, and there's just always something so light about him. He's just lit from within, and he's just a very, very warm person. And when we mentioned to him that we wanted to have him on, I just felt it was the easiest thing in the world to reach out to him, because he's just so available in life, in his profession. He's just an available man. So that was so enjoyable. I mean, did we talk enough about the episode?
I had a couple more questions we didn't get to. I feel like we should have had a little bit more, but yeah, I mean, there was so much to discuss. Like I said, so much to break down and just go over. It's his first time on the show, so when we have him on for Maid of Honor, we'll try to be a little more on task.
Focused.
Yeah.
Well, and this episode was just gargantuan.
Yes.
I mean, it had, and I don't know, maybe we need to have Dan or Stan because there is so much to unpack in this episode. And I just couldn't get over how theatrical again and how epic it all was. And I loved seeing the seven of us together.
Yeah.
And that was so touching to me, because as we saw in the first season, there's always somebody missing. And sure, Batman wasn't there a lot in this, but for a moment in time, we were all together in this episode. And I just, as Susan, it was just so sweet seeing everybody together.
Yeah. And I loved that little, before you guys all jump through the wormhole, Wonder Woman's the last one through, and she gives that little look back at Bruce standing there, and it's kind of like, oh,
I know.
And then the hand squeeze with Phil Lamar and Shira and John when she picks him up, and just that there was another step in that relationship, you could tell, and just so many little moments like that. And then like Phil said, we got the introduction of the Blackhawks into the DC animated universe, created by Chuck Carrera, Bob Powell, and Will Eisner. Will Eisner, Easy Company, and Sergeant Rock. We had Steve Trevor show up. So all these, nods to other DC comics. It was expansive.
Epic. I mean, just crazy. And, now that we've talked to so many people, I'm so aware of the music cues in a way that I wasn't before. And when whatever we're seeing on the screen had to be created, and how painstaking that is. We've talked to people and they've shared what that is to create that. So, wow, I so enjoyed that. But I do understand if people are like, wait, you didn't talk about the episode that much. We apologize. But Phil had this, he has this incredible life.
We gave you Phil Morris, people. Back off. Come on.
I love how we're starting a fight with our audience. And let us just say, this is the first season. We're done with the first season. Yeah. Look at us.
So we'll be taking a 1-year hiatus, just for those of you listening before. No, of course not.
No. And I saw that you posted and you said final episode of the season, and you put final in caps, all caps. And I thought, I hope people realize that we're going to keep going.
Stay tuned. Well, for more announcements coming, because now, I mean, again, we're recording these all out of schedule, because I feel so bad for poor Len Yulee, who recorded his episode back in, December of 2023. And we haven't, at the time with Susan and I are recording this now, that episode hasn't even aired. So it's all wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, as the doctor would say.
You're so technical.
I know.
Well, I mean, so we want to tell people to stay tuned, because we're not done.
Nope.
We have a few more seasons to go, and we hope you'll be there with us as we move through this. So anyone interested in continuing this journey with us, please subscribe to our podcast, because as much as we love doing it, we can't do it without an audience. I mean, we can, but it wouldn't be as much fun. Well,
Speak
it would
for
be
yourself.
fun. But please subscribe and leave a review. We read them. We share them with each other. And it's just so sweet to know that people are out there appreciating the content that we're giving. So
all the
just
questions.
subscribe.
Thank you. Send us questions.
Yeah, all
We'd
the
like that.
questions. We love it. And again, I know we do this every time, but if anyone wants to reach out to me, Susan Eisenberg 1 on social media and SusanEisenbergVoice.com, on that web place, if you want to look at my website. So, and what about you? What do you have coming up?
Lots of stuff. I
know
we do a live radio show based out of St. Louis, but you can stream it anywhere online. So you can follow me at Geek to Me Radio, Geek to Me Radio on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/Geek to Me Radio, and also go to YouTube, find Geek to Me Radio there, and hit the subscribe button there if you would, because every time we do a live show every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, we will stream video, as long as my producer, who helps us out with this show too, Joey V, is in studio. He runs video, so you'll be able to watch the show. And we're coming up on 2025. If you have not had the chance to meet Susan Eisenberg and you're anywhere in the vicinity of St. Louis, St. Charles, we're going to be doing Two Rivers Comic Con. And Susan is one of our guests. The amazingly talented 3-time Eisner Award-winning artist Rick Burchett is our artist headlining the event. Those are the only 2 names we've announced as of this recording, but there'll be more names dropping. So you can follow that at Two Rivers Comic Con on Twitter and Instagram. The number 2 Rivers Comic Con on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with the announcements there. And you can come and meet Susan Eisenberg, for crying out loud.
How much do I love that name? Two Rivers Comic Con. I love it. It flows off the tongue, which as a voice actor, that matters. But so proud of you. So excited for this Comic Con. And I'm just happy that St. Louis has a con.
Yeah.
And that's thrilling to me. And that you made this happen. And I know you had people helping you make this happen. But this was your baby. You wanted this to happen, and look at you. Look at you.
It's very exciting.
Look at you.
Don't look too closely. It's I don't have makeup on either, like you and Phil were talking about earlier. So.
Oh gosh. Well done. And I'm just so happy for you, and I'm so proud of you. And I'm excited to be in St. Louis in 2025.
Yeah, May.
Yep.
Memorial Day weekend, May 23rd through the 25th, 2025. So put it on your calendars now, people.
Yeah, and as always, just stay tuned, because we will be continuing this conversation. I promise, okay? Stay tuned for season 2 of Justice League Revisited.